Okay, welcome back to the channel. Today we have part 2, a follow-up to the last video where we went over all of the Coda weapons. This is the second week rotation. Just a reminder and a quick disclaimer. These weapons rotate every 4 days, and each time these weapons arrive, they will have random progenitor elements on them. I guess they can't really be called like progenitors, but they have random elements, and I've just gotten all of them as of what elements they have come with the first time, just so I can show you these weapons as early as possible and give demonstrations. This is me just buying the bullet, just like last video. I grinded all of these out last night, and I have now slept this time instead of doing the commentary as soon as I'm finished. So I'm a bit more awake this time. Also, you can change the elements of these weapons via getting a Valence Transformer from Eleanor for 50k standing. I said this at the beginning of the last video as well, but a lot of people missed it for some reason. Yeah, just note that I haven't gotten one for any of these because 1, they're expensive, and 2, I haven't decided which ones I'm going to throw them on yet. I only have 2 of these and I haven't decided. So I'm just going to show them with the default elements they came with this week. Luckily, this time, these are all actually really good, even with some questionable elements. So we have way better news for these weapons this time round. And I believe there's 3 melee weapons, 1 secondary and 2 primaries, and we're just going to get stuck in, starting with the one you probably want to hear the most about, which is the brand new shotgun, the Coda Bassocyst. This one's pretty good. This week it came with magnetic, which I'll gladly take because magnetic is just great on shotguns, especially status-based ones. Bassocyst is kind of similar to the Archiplasmor, except it has a unique mechanic and fire mode, which unfortunately there's not a lot of when it comes to this set of weapons and the previous. And we're going to have to show these real quick. The first one is a pretty basic alt fire. So if we spawn in some enemies right here, the regular fire looks like this. Very much like an Archiplasmor. And the alt fire, you can only send at enemies. And it's like these little infested hands that attach to enemies. You can see it on his forehead. And they will proc magnetic and impact over and over, and the element you have equipped. They're kind of like little overtime primers, I guess. I'll be honest, I don't think this is overly useful. It's cool, like with your elements it can do a bit of priming, but realistically you're just going to be spamming this before you shoot your main fire. It does damage over time. But that is not the only alt fire it has. If you get an enemy low enough to the point where they are available for a mercy kill, the alt fire will teleport to them from a pretty far distance away and instantly pull off the mercy kill. You can see the reticle goes red. That's how you know you can do it. I haven't had a situation in which this is useful yet, but it is pretty cool. So I would traditionally just spam the alt fire first, and then you're good to start ripping through them. As you can see, it's pretty damn good. It's not often I build things for corrosive. You can build this for viral, but it comes with a bunch of elements on it already. It's a really good shotgun. It's not the best weapon in the world, but it's really solid, as you can see by the damage. The gimmick is really fun as well, just teleporting to enemies. I do wish that it would teleport you to the enemies and not instantly pull off a finisher, because I think that'd be more flexible. This is the build I'm currently rocking. I have not changed the element. It came with magnetic, as I said, and this thing has base, radiation, and blast. So you're already proccing 3 elements with your progenitor. I've thrown on corrosive. This is what was performing the best in the demonstration, but you can go with viral. I do have, excuse me, I do have Rivens. Replace this with vigilante armaments. This is what I was using, and to be fair, there's a bunch of ways you could switch this up. You could go with no fire it here. You can go fire it here instead. Maybe you want to throw on Hunter's munitions. This is just giving multi-shot fire rate and crit chance, and obviously the disposition is low, so it's really not that useful. And we're using primary crux. Primary crux is pairing really nicely with barrage. To me, this just makes the weapon feel better. I like the high fire rate combined with a high status chance, and that ammo efficiency allows me to just hold down the trigger endlessly. I did try this with Deadhead. Deadhead is actually extremely good. You can get way more damage off of this, but the problem is ramping it up. This thing struggles to get Deadhead prepared, I guess, especially versus heavy targets, but once you get Deadhead activated, it's very good. It's great. It really is. I don't know if I'd honestly even change the element from magnetic with a Valence Transformer, but yeah, you could pick and choose. Weapon kicks ass. Next up, we're moving on to the only secondary of this rotation, and unfortunately it's the weakest of the bunch. We're talking about the Tysis. The Tysis is literally just a semi-auto infested pistol, and I don't even think this weapon is mid, purely based on the fact that it came with impact this week. It would be better by a mile if I had a Valence Transformer on here, but I want to make this clear. This weapon would still not be that special even with a specific element up here, because at base we're already proccing corrosive viral heat. I say at base, I'm talking about the mod setup of course. Its base damage is corrosive, so that's already good. You can just build it corrosive viral, great combo, and heat, like 13% crit, 2 times crit multiplier. It's improved, but it just feels like it could have been better. 50% status, slow ass fire rate, it's a single target weapon. Give me one good reason why this weapon doesn't have a unique mechanic. It is a semi-auto infested pistol with pretty mid stats even on this variant. Give me one good reason why there's no special mechanic on this weapon. With that being said, it's still okay. There's a car going by my house, hope you didn't hear that. I'm using secondary Innovate. It feels honestly like you could go Deadhead maybe. I feel like the performance is going to be pretty similar, but I like Innovate on this because the crit chance needs help. This pistol, man. Listen, I'm not going to be... Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I'm not going to be as harsh as I was to the Pox. Wow, I can't speak English right now. The Pox is shit, and people are coping in my comment section. Stop coping, okay? It is not good. It just isn't good. You can enjoy it. No hate if you enjoy it. I'm not saying you can't enjoy the weapon. This isn't... It's just not all that, you know? Like, can it kill enemies? Of course. I can kill things. This is decent single target damage. Oh, this is a good pistol. Whoa. Nice aim. But that's all it is. It's just a decent pistol, and I do not understand why this weapon does not come with a specific unique mechanic, because I feel like it needs one desperately to be anything remotely fun. And that kind of rings true for a lot of these new Coda weapons. I know you guys in the comments have been saying it. Why do they not all come with unique mechanics? Because that's kind of the fun in the Lich weapons. And I agree. They don't have to all be competing with Incarnate weapons. You could be decent damage like this and have a cool mechanic, and it'd just be a way more fun weapon. So yeah, even with demonstration there, like if you throw on a different element here, impact, I mean, what a joke. Luckily that's like pretty much the only bad rotation I got for an element. This weapon just does good damage. It's actually kind of fun, especially when you buff it. Like if you throw this on a Warframe like Gorse with fire rate, it will kill things, but unfortunately it's just a single target pistol. This is probably the worst of the rotation. However, I wouldn't blame you guys for saying you love it in the comment section, but the Pox is shit. Okay, stop telling me the Pox is good. Anyway, moving on to a weapon that, straight up, I'm not a big fan of glaives, so I won't be going out of my way to use a Valence Transformer on this thing. The build would be different. Pathocyst is an infested glaive, and this week it came with cold, which isn't actually that bad because I can mod this for cold electric to rock blast influence. But if I was to change the element with a Valence Transformer, I would change this to electric, and I would remove blast, and I would remove voltaic strike, and instead I would probably opt for these two mods instead. That's kind of how I build glaives on average. They usually don't wind up needing elements other than electric for influence. There is another vehicle going past my house. Please be quiet. And yeah, it's a glaive. The Pathocyst is already good, and this one has a unique mechanic which doesn't really do anything. As far as I'm aware, I'm open to be proving wrong. It just sends out maggots. Like, you just see these little things going across the floor, and they do viral damage and stuff. They don't really do anything. I guess they prime enemies a little bit. Long story short, it's an infested glaive that was already incredibly strong, and this time it has a little passive that does a little more bonus damage. It came with cold. It's got better stats overall. So the weapon is just good. Very important because of its base crit stats. I would throw on Galvanized Steel as the third mod. Well, I guess Organ Shatter in this case. You get what I'm saying. Crit damage and crit chance can be fitted in here. It doesn't even need it, but you can do that. The only reason it's not in there is because I have to run it for blast, so I can proc influence because of the element. Just covering my ass before people get on me in the comments. See, I didn't even need to ramp it up. There's the dudes. Look at the dudes. They aren't really useful. I didn't even need to build up any of my mods. Yeah, you guys get the idea. It's an infested glaive, but everything keeps dying. There we go, there we go. They didn't die. Now you can see them. See? A little bit of priming, and then they just disappear. Oh, they still go. Are we done? So the way I see them is just, they're kind of just little primers. And these proc when you do aerial attacks, I believe. That's what it states. While in flight or on contact with the enemy, it will occasionally spawn enhanced enemy-seeking miasmites. The problem is you can't really tell the difference between those procking and this. I mean, realistically, they're just the exact same thing, but better. It's a great weapon. End of story. Moving on, the Caustacyst. The Coda Caustacyst came with electricity this week, which is just busted, because I can immediately mod it for influence. This thing has innate corrosive, by the way, so you mod it for viral corrosive. And unfortunately, once again, this is just the regular effect of the weapon. The regular Caustacyst already does this. It just has the little pool of shite on the ground after you heavy attack. Does damage over time, mainly just good for priming enemies. Doesn't really do a lot of damage. It just has better stats, and those little pools you leave on the ground after a heavy attack last longer. So it doesn't have a unique mechanic, it has a buffed mechanic and better stats. But I'm not complaining because this weapon already has a unique mechanic in the heavy attacks. Buffs to this thing's stats are great. Just period. You can build this thing for crit now. 90% crit, 2.3% crit multiplier. As you can see for the setup, instead of going full status, we're rocking Galvanized Steel and Blood Rush. And overall, we're still proccing a bunch of elements. Interchangeable stuff here, worth noting. You can go full status. If you want to go Weeping Wounds, throw a little Magnetic in here. Or you could get rid of Galvanized Elementalist and put in Weeping Wounds. The performance is going to be very similar. Unsurprisingly, this weapon decimates. The Caustacyst was already incredible. I was extremely excited for this one. It's just better. It's just better if I get this thing ramped up, sorry. Everything's dead. I have my combo. You see the pools on the ground doing DOT over time. Wow, I didn't heavy attack. I'm an idiot. Then you see the damage is exceptional. Surprise, surprise. The Caustacyst is still good. There's a little bit of damage over time. So the longer lasting pools on the ground, you can see right here. That's the melee influence doing that damage. Like it. I don't even know if that's really hitting him. I mean, what is there to say other than that it's just a stronger version of the Caustacyst, and if you like sights, you should get this weapon. I love it, because I think the Caustacyst is badass. Now, back to the primaries. We have to talk about the Synapse. Once again, this weapon doesn't have a unique mechanic. Luckily, I already have always been a big fan of the Synapse. I always saw this weapon as the Amperex's little bro, except it's kind of cooler, but not as good. This thing kind of is just like, it's like the Caustacyst. I'm on a loop here, just saying it's a better version because it is just a better version of the base gun, and whether or not you think it's good enough to be used is up to you. But this weapon honestly kind of just kicks ass. Electricity was the bonus this week. Pretty good. Didn't get scammed. You probably would change this, I guess, but it doesn't even matter. This weapon fucks. I would probably throw another former in here, so that way I could, I believe it was this build, I'd probably get rid of Hammer Shot, throw a V, and then get some red crits with Galvanized Scope. But this is the build I have been using. We're going full crit status overload with primary crux. Who would have thought? Unique trait, I'm not sure if this is a thing on the regular Synapse. It probably is, right? Bonus damage on headshots. This is so random. Who cares? This is just a single target beam weapon. This build, if you want some punch through, it's really just these two mods switched, Hammer Shot and Rifle Elementalist. The weapon's great. It just has way better stats than the base version. No unique mechanic, which is just so tragic. I am glad that this isn't the new Torrid, because we don't need more Torrids. But it is really strong. It also will not take long to ramp up. And you see, it really does kill quick. Like, it may be a bit of a single target machine. You could kill a couple of enemies at one time if you got it punched through, but yeah, it's really good. It's not the world's best weapon, but it will kill things extremely quickly. It's like a truck. It's also, for a beam weapon, pretty good at getting headshots, so you can build it for Deadhead as well. And because we're using Crux, you could form the build a bit more that I'm using, and then throw on the full elemental mods instead of the 60%. Yeah, the Synapse is really good, and that's what I have to say about it. Okay, we're moving on to the last weapon, which is the Coda Hirudo, which is one of the few ones that had a bad element, but this thing is so good, this element doesn't even matter. Just straight up, radiation being on here doesn't affect this weapon. This thing is so good, it doesn't care. It has better attack speed, better status, crit, all of it. It's so good. It doesn't have a unique mechanic once again, but the Hirudo already comes with one, which is innate lifesteal on crit hits. This has always been great. I love this. And this weapon absolutely fucks. For a sparring weapon, it blew my mind. I thought these things were shit. But I guess this one just doesn't care. This weapon is amazing. It's so fast. It's so fluid. Obviously, I'm building it for influence. Who would have thought? You could also build it for afflictions because the little float it gives the enemy. I did try it, and I'll be honest. Actually, I'm going to take that back. When I was doing the little lift on afflictions, I was not seeing the afflictions stacks go off. But maybe I'm just blind. Either way, influence was completely outclassing it. Just straight up. Building that, I tried it with Dufty as well, with a lot of puncture. People like to cope about weapons being good with puncture and Dufty. Coda Motovore. I know why there's a lot of people coding about that in the previous comments. I'm sorry, but saying that the Coda Motovore with a full Dufty setup is really good when you give it Wrathful Advance is not a valid point. Everything is good with Wrathful Advance, and Influence is still better. Come on, boys, what we doing? Coda Motovore. Jesus Christ. It's okay, alright? It's okay with Dufty. It's not all that. It's fucking Wrathful Advance. What are you guys on about? That's cheating. This weapon... it's really, really good. I mean, who would have thought? Crazy good stats. Fast melee with influence. And we're using radiation on here as its base, and it doesn't care. Radiation, this could be outperformed by a better element. This is very close to being my favorite weapon of the bunch, I think. Maybe even both rotations. The Hirudo. A sparring weapon really worth using. All of the primaries are S tier. As for the secondaries, Catabolist, S tier. I also did use this thing with Innovate, by the way. It's insane. Same thing with the Torzika. These two are probably S tier. Pox is shit. Tysis is decent. And then for the melee, I will say I was wrong about the Maya. I put a little disclaimer in the comments. I have been shown the ways by the comments section. Unified Codex, shout out to him. Put a great video out on this weapon. I was incorrect about the Maya. I was also... bro, I can literally build this thing for gas electric. I'm a dumbass. It came with innate heat, just build a gas electric. Even without a valence transformer. This weapon is really good with influence. And it's also really good with afflictions and slam attacks. The Coda Maya is actually probably S tier. There's another vehicle going by my house. Is that strike 3 or 4? Anyway. S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier. This thing is just decent. Like, it's okay. It's a good... I ranked this a little bit below. But it's good. It's really good. Motovore is good. I'm not saying it's bad. But people are absolutely coping about this thing being some sort of god killer when you put Dufty on it and puncture. Just because they saw it do, like... they one-shotted someone with Wrathful Advance and a heavy attack. Like, yeah, no shit, bro. We gotta stop coping about this weapon, okay? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm defending myself from the comment section of the previous video because most of the comments were amazing. You guys are really good, but some people were getting so up in arms about me talking about this weapon's mechanic. Dufty, Puncture, Coda Motovore, and Raffle Advance is not a valid point. Raffle Advance and anything, including a melee influence Motovore, is still gonna be insane. Because Raffle Advance is broken. What are we doing, fellas? God! Anywho, the Motovore is good. Needs a just put a Valence Transformer on this thing, and it'll be really good. But it isn't on the level of these. So yeah, verdict is, the Coda weapons are pretty darn good. I really fuck with them, except why do they not have more unique mechanics, bro? What are we doing? There's so many options to make infested weapons unique, and I know some of them have innate mechanics already, so just give them another one. These are all old mechanics. It just feels a little bit lazy, which I hate saying about the devs, because we love the Warframe devs and they are so good at their job, and I love all of this content. There's an amazing update, and they aren't lazy, but it does feel like they maybe missed the mark a little bit. Just wish they given some of these some unique mechanics, that's all. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know which of these weapons is your favourite in the comments, by the way. And yeah, stop telling me about the Coda Motovore. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.